Good morning, my favorites. Happy Monday. Miss Hill here to talk a little bit about lesson 8.1. Hopefully you just watched the video from EdGems so you have an idea about what we're jumping into. This unit is going to be all about exponents. Now, I just want to take a second and let all of you know that we are going to be spending the last 6 weeks that we have together just going over some skills that are really, really important for algebra. So we're going to start with some exponents this week and next week, and then we're going to jump back into talking about equations and integers and just some really important skills that'll help you get ready for next year. So lesson 8.1 in your EdGems talks about multiplying exponents. So multiplication of exponents. Now an exponent is that little number that's right there above the base. So this 3 is called a base, and the 3 is the exponent. The exponent is just telling me how many of the base I'm multiplying together. The entire thing together, the 3 to the 4th, is called the power. And again, to say that out loud, I say 3 to the 4th power. And it means that I have 3 as my base, and I'm multiplying the 3 by itself 4 times. If you see or hear the term squared, that just means that the base has been raised to the power of 2. So it might look like 3 as the base and then a little baby 2 up there in the exponent. Cubed would mean that it's raised to the power of 3. Every other exponent, we just use the actual number when we say it out loud. Here's a chart that was actually in your notes, and it would be great to copy it down. It gives you some examples of what it looks like when it's written as a power, so 5 squared or 5 to the 2nd power. Expanded just means that I'm taking each one of those bases and I'm writing it out however many times my exponent says. So 5 squared or 5 to the 2nd power would be 5 times 5. So notice that I have 5 times 5, I've got 2 of them, and that came from this exponent right here. And then the value is just asking me to go ahead and do that multiplication. So 5 times 5 is going to give me 25. You can see here in this example, they put parentheses around the -4 to show that you have 3 of these -4s. 3 to the 4th would mean I have 4 of these 3's. And then all I need to do is multiply that many times to get my value. Again, the base tells me what I am multiplying, and the exponent tells me how many times. So base is what, exponent is how many. Here are 2 examples that were from that video. So 5 squared times 5 to the 6th. If I write that out, here's my 5 squared, so 2 of them. And here is my 5 to the 6th, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. Altogether, that meant that I had 5 to the 8th because I had 8 of these 5s I was multiplying together. You can do the same thing even if you have multiple bases. So here I have a base of x and y. And all I did was write out, if I have x, y squared, that means I have 1x and 2 y's. X cubed, y cubed means I have 3 x's, 3 y's. When I multiply all that together, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 of these x's, so x to the 4th. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the y's, so y to the 5th. The rule that you just saw in action is that when I am multiplying like bases, so if my base is A, if I am multiplying, then all I need to do here is add up those exponents. Here's a different kind of example. Let's say that I'm taking a power to a power. So I've got 8 squared, so it already has an exponent on it, and I'm taking that whole thing up to another exponent. Power to power has a little bit of a different rule. So I'm not just going to add those exponents like I just did. I'm actually going to multiply them. And here's where that comes from. If I have 8 squared and I have that 3 times, I'm going to have 8 squared times 8 squared times 8 squared. So then expanded form tells me I have 2 of them, another 2 of them, another 2 of them. So I have 6 of them all together for 8 to the 6th power. Here it is again, 4 to the 3rd power, and it's raised up again. So power to a power means that I have 4 to the 3rd, another 4 to the 3rd, 4 to the 3rd, and 4 to the 3rd. So I had 1, 2, 3, 4 of those. That gives me 4 to the 12th power. So the rule there is when I'm taking a power up to another power, I'm actually going to multiply those exponents. So 2 rules. Power to a power means I'm going to multiply them. Or if I'm just multiplying bases and they each have their own power or exponent, I'm just going to add my exponents. There was one last little piece in the video that they talked about, which was distributing. So if you have 2 bases inside parentheses and the whole thing is being raised to a power, you just need to be very careful that you take that exponent and you actually apply it or distribute it to each base that's inside the parentheses. So that's where I ended up with a to the n and b to the n, because I took that exponent of n and I applied it to each piece that's inside my parentheses. Let's do a few examples together. These were not in the video, but I just want to walk them through with you because these are going to give you an idea of what this whole lesson is talking about. So this first example says I have y squared, or y to the 2nd power, and I have y to the 3rd power. That means I have 1, 2 of them from y squared, and then I have another 3 of them, right? So here was my y squared, here was my y to the 3rd. All together, if I add these up, that means that I have y to the 5th power. So notice that those exponents just got added together. X to the 4th and the whole thing squared, that's a power to a power. So that means that I have 2 of these x to the 4th power. So that means I have x to the 4th times x to the 4th. So I have 1, 2 of them. If I want to write that all the way out in expanded form so you can see it, it means I have 1, 2, 3, 4. There's the first set. And then I have another 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. So I have, that was that first set, and that's the second set. That means I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 for x to the 8th power. So notice there, those exponents were added, or multiplied actually, sorry. AB to the 4th, again, I want to take that 4th power and I want to distribute that to everything inside. So really all I can do for my answer here is write it as A to the 4th, B to the 4th. Again, I want to do the same thing with this squared. So that means that everything inside there is going to get squared. So I'm going to apply that to the 3 and to the p. Both of those are bases. What I could do is I could write this out as 3p cubed times 3p cubed, meaning I have 2 of them, right? So then if I expand that all the way out, I've got 3 times p times p times p, and then a whole nother set of that, 3 times p times p times p. If I want to consolidate those or simplify, I have 2 of these 3s, so I'm going to write it as 3 squared, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or p to the 6th power. Notice that all I did was really apply the squared to the 3, and then I took 2 times 3 here because I was going power to a power. If the rules make sense, fantastic. You don't need to write it all out in expanded form. But an easy way to double check your rule and make sure that you're accurate is to actually go ahead and write it all the way out. I'm going to do that with this next one because this looks complicated. So this is just saying I have m to the 4th, y to the 1st, right? If there's no exponent, that means there's 1, z to the 4th, and I'm multiplying that whole thing by another set of them, m to the 3rd, y to the 1st, z squared. So I'm going to write this whole thing out in expanded form, and then I'm going to simplify what I've got. So this says I have 4 of these m's. I've got a y, and I've got 4 of these z's. Now notice how that is just not the easiest way to write that out, right? That's why we've got these rules. Now I've got another 3 m's, another y, and then 2 more z's. To simplify that out, I'm going to combine like terms. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of these m's. 1, 2 y's. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of my z's. Now notice, that's going to be my final answer, but notice up here I could have just said, well, I have m to the 4th and m to the 3rd. 4 plus 3 gives me 7. I have one y and another y, so that's y squared. Z to the 4th, I've got 4 of them plus 2 more of them, z to the 6th. So the rule of adding my exponents would work because I'm multiplying like bases. I hope this was helpful. Your assignment this week is to complete the practice worksheet that's attached to this assignment as well and write down these notes. I will be live on Google Hangout on Tuesday and Wednesday at 1:30 to 3. Pop in anytime. We can do the worksheet together and you can ask any questions. I'll be posting a screencast of the answer key with me walking through all of the solutions to the problems at the end of the day on Thursday, so you can take a look at your work and then turn it in on Friday. I hope you are all well. Let me know if you need anything. I am here for you. Miss you all. Bye.